Anna had always faced life's challenges head-on, juggling two jobs to keep her small apartment and maintain a semblance of stability. Despite her hardships, her heart remained open to helping others. One rainy afternoon, as she rushed to her second job at the grocery store, her old car rattled through puddles on the uneven streets. The sight of a man struggling with his wheelchair on the wet sidewalk caught her attention. His face, etched with frustration, spoke of silent battles. Without a second thought, Anna pulled over, her wipers struggling to keep the windshield clear. "Do you need a ride?" she asked, her voice soft but steady. As she rolled down the window, the man hesitated, startled by the offer. I don't want to trouble you," he said, his hands trembling slightly. "It's no trouble at all," Anna insisted, her warm smile cutting through the grayness of the rainy afternoon. "I'm already heading that way." He finally nodded, gratitude flickering in his eyes. She quickly helped him into the passenger seat, folding his wheelchair and placing it in the back. The rain continued to drum against the roof as they drove in companionable silence. "I'm Daniel," he finally said, breaking the quiet as the hospital came into view. "I'm Anna," she replied. "Where exactly should I drop you?" "Right at the entrance." "Please," he murmured, his voice faint but polite. Anna helped him out of the car and unfolded his wheelchair. "Take care, Daniel," she said, offering a brief but genuine smile. "Thank you," he said quietly, his eyes meeting hers for a moment before he wheeled himself into the hospital. Anna drove away, feeling an unexplainable warmth. It wasn't much, she thought, just a ride. Yet something about the encounter lingered in her mind. The next morning, Anna woke up to another long day. Her tiny apartment was far from luxurious, but it was her sanctuary. As she sipped her coffee, her thoughts drifted back to Daniel. Was he all right? What brought him to the hospital? Shaking off the thoughts, she reminded herself of her own challenges. Bills were piling up, and her second-hand car was on its last legs. At the diner, she moved through her shift with her usual quiet efficiency, serving regulars who barely acknowledged her. Life felt monotonous, but Anna found comfort in the small, steady routines that anchored her days. By the time she returned home that evening, exhausted, she was ready to collapse onto her couch. Then came the unexpected, a sharp knock at the door. Startled, Anna opened it to find a man in a tailored suit standing in the hallway, holding a leather briefcase. His demeanor was professional, his expression neutral but polite. "Are you Anna?" he asked. "Yes," she replied hesitantly. "Can I help you?" "My name is Richard Blake," he said, stepping slightly inside. "I'm a lawyer representing Mr. Daniel Carter." Anna's heart skipped a beat. Daniel? She hadn't thought much about their brief encounter since yesterday, but now his name was being mentioned in her apartment. "Mr. Carter," she echoed, confused. "Yes," Richard continued, setting his briefcase on her small table. "He asked me to deliver this to you in person." He handed her a small envelope with her name neatly written on it. Anna stared at the envelope, her hands trembling slightly. "What is this?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Please, open it," Richard encouraged. "Mr. Carter wanted you to read it yourself." Anna carefully opened the envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter and a check. Her breath hitched as she unfolded the paper and began to read. "Dear Anna, yesterday, you reminded me that kindness still exists in this world. What you saw as a simple act, a ride in the rain, meant more to me than I can express. For years, I've struggled with feeling invisible, but your gesture reminded me that there are still good people out there. As a small token of my gratitude, I hope this can ease some of your burdens. Thank you for seeing me when I felt unseen. With gratitude, Daniel Carter." Asterisk. Anna's eyes widened as she looked at the check. The amount was staggering, far beyond what she could have imagined. Her mind raced, her thoughts a chaotic whirl of disbelief and gratitude. I don't understand," she stammered, looking up at Richard. "Mr. Carter doesn't have close family," Richard explained. "He wanted to leave something meaningful to someone who made a difference in his life. He chose you, but I only gave him a ride." Anna whispered, shaking her head. "To you, it was just a ride. Richard said gently. To him, it was a moment of humanity when he needed it most. 4 hours after Richard left, Anna sat at her small kitchen table, staring at the check. The money could change everything, pay off her debts, fix her car, maybe even allow her to breathe for the first time in years. Yet the weight of it felt overwhelming. Did she truly deserve this? Finally, she made a decision. Picking up the phone, she called Richard. Mr. Blake, this is Anna, she said, her voice shaky. I'm not sure I can accept this. Anna, Richard replied, his tone reassuring. This is not just about the money. It's about recognizing the power of kindness. Mr. Carter wanted you to have this because he believes you'll make good use of it. In the days that followed, Anna used the gift to pay off her debts, repair her car, and even take a short break from one of her jobs. But more importantly, it inspired her to continue helping others. No matter how small the gesture seemed, Daniel's letter became a reminder that even the simplest acts of kindness could ripple outward, touching lives in ways she might never fully understand. I understand how overwhelming this must feel, Anna, Richard said, his voice calm and understanding. But Mr. Carter believed you deserved this. It wasn't just about what you did, it was about who you are. He saw something in you that many people overlook. Anna gripped the phone tightly, her mind still racing. But I didn't do anything extraordinary, she said softly. It was just a ride. Anyone would have done the same. Richard's tone remained gentle. Maybe to you, it felt like nothing. But to Mr. Carter, it was a moment of humanity in a world that often feels cold. You didn't know him, yet you helped him without hesitation. That kind of kindness is rare, Anna, and he wanted to show his gratitude in a way that would truly make a difference in your life. Anna sat down at her small kitchen table, her gaze fixed on the check. The weight of its significance pressed on her, mingling with the overwhelming sense of disbelief and gratitude. It's just so much, she said after a long pause. I don't even know how to begin to thank him. You already did, in your own way, Richard replied. He didn't do this expecting anything in return. Accepting it is the only thanks he would want from you. Anna closed her eyes, trying to absorb his words. All right, she finally said, her voice steady but soft. I'll accept it, but could you let him know how grateful I am? That I'll make sure it's used wisely? Richard chuckled lightly. I'm sure he already knows that, Anna, but I'll pass along your message. After the call ended, Anna sat quietly for a long time, her emotions swirling. The check remained on the table, a tangible reminder of a moment that had shifted her world. She thought about the bills she could finally pay, the car repairs that could no longer be postponed, and the possibility of easing the constant stress that weighed her down. But more than that, she thought about Daniel, about his words in the letter and the quiet way he had expressed his gratitude. It wasn't just the money. It was the acknowledgement of something she had never seen in herself, the power of simple, genuine kindness. In the days that followed, Anna used the money to pay off her overdue rent and fix her car, finally easing some of the burdens she had carried for so long. But she also set aside a portion of it, determined to use it for something meaningful, something that would honor the spirit of the gift Daniel had given her. She began volunteering at a local shelter, using her free time to cook meals for those in need. Every time she served someone a hot plate of food or offered a warm smile, she thought of Daniel and the impact one small act of kindness could have. Months later, as she continued to balance her 2 jobs with her new volunteer work, Anna received another letter. This time, it was from Daniel himself. In it, he thanked her once again, not only for her kindness that rainy day, but also for how she had chosen to pay it forward. He had heard about her work at the shelter and was deeply moved. Anna framed both letters, placing them on the wall of her small apartment. They served as a reminder of the connection they had shared and the profound impact of compassion. Every time she looked at them, she felt a renewed sense of purpose, a belief that even in the smallest moments, kindness had the power to change lives. Anna's heart pounded as she walked through the familiar hospital doors. The fluorescent lights overhead cast a cold, sterile glow, but she felt anything but detached. This meeting was more than just about understanding Daniel's gesture. It was about finding closure. about connecting with someone whose life had intersected with hers in the most unexpected way. The receptionist from her previous visit recognized her and smiled kindly. "Mr. Carter is expecting you," she said, motioning towards the elevator. Room 306. Anna's steps were hesitant but steady as she made her way down the quiet hallway. When she reached the room, she paused for a moment to collect herself, taking a deep breath before knocking softly. "Come in," a faint voice called. Anna pushed the door open to find Daniel sitting by the window in his wheelchair, bathed in the soft glow of sunlight streaming through the blinds. He looked friendlier than she remembered, his skin pale and his frame thin, but his eyes still held the warmth she had noticed the first time they met. "Anna," he said with a gentle smile, "I wasn't sure you'd come." She stepped inside, her nerves melting slightly at his calm demeanor. I wanted to see you, to thank you, but also to understand why you chose to do this for me." Daniel gestured for her to sit in the chair beside him. "You don't need to thank me," he said, his voice steady but quiet. "If anything, I should thank you. That day, you saw me. You didn't look past me, didn't treat me like an inconvenience. That's rare." Anna. Anna fidgeted with her hands, unsure how to respond. "But it was just a ride," she said softly. "I didn't do anything extraordinary." Daniel chuckled lightly. "To you, maybe it was just a ride. But for me, it was a reminder that kindness still exists, that someone cared enough to stop, even when they didn't have to. You don't know how much that meant to me." His words struck a chord deep within her, and for a moment, they sat in silence, the weight of the conversation settling around them. Finally, Anna spoke. "I've been struggling with what to do with your gift. It's so much, and I don't feel like I deserve it." Daniel's expression softened. "Deserving it isn't the point. Anna, this isn't just about what you did for me that day. It's about who you are. I've lived long enough to see that real kindness is rare, and when I find it, I want to nurture it. You remind me of the person I used to be, before life took so much away. I see potential in you, Anna, and I want to give you the chance to see it too." Tears welled up in Anna's eyes, and she quickly wiped them away. "I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything," Daniel said, placing a frail but steady hand on hers. "Just promise me you'll use it to make your life better, to lighten the load you've been carrying. And if you ever feel it's too much, pay it forward in whatever way you can." Anna nodded, her heart swelling with a mixture of gratitude and responsibility. "I will," she whispered. "I promise." As they continued talking, Daniel shared bits and pieces of his life. How he had once been a successful entrepreneur, how he lost everything after an accident left him wheelchair-bound, and how he had struggled to find purpose since then. Despite his hardships, he had always tried to hold on to hope, finding solace in small acts of kindness, like the one Anna had shown him. When the visit came to an end, Anna felt a sense of clarity she hadn't felt in days. She knew now that accepting Daniel's gift wasn't just about the money. It was about honoring his trust and belief in her. As she left the hospital, she felt a renewed sense of purpose, a determination to not only improve her own life, but also to carry forward the kindness that Daniel had shown her. Over the next few weeks, Anna began making changes. She paid off her overdue rent, fixed her car, and even set aside some money for emergencies. But she also found ways to give back, volunteering at a local community center and helping others who were struggling just as she had been. Each act of kindness felt like a tribute to Daniel, a way of continuing the ripple effect he had started. Months later, Anna received a letter from Daniel. It was short but heartfelt, thanking her for their conversation and expressing his joy at seeing her embrace the opportunities his gift had provided. At the bottom of the letter, he had written one final request: never underestimate the impact of a small act of kindness. You never know how far it can reach. Anna framed the letter and hung it in her small apartment, a constant reminder of the day her life had changed. It wasn't just the money that had transformed her. It was the connection, the recognition, and the understanding that even in the smallest moments, kindness could create something extraordinary. Anna's hands trembled as she gripped the phone, Richard's words echoing in her mind. A house? She couldn't fathom it. The idea was almost incomprehensible. like something out of a dream she wasn't sure she deserved. "I don't understand," she said softly. "Why would he give me something so significant?" Richard's tone was warm but firm. "Daniel sees you as more than just the woman who gave him a ride. He sees someone who reminded him of the good in people when he needed it most. This house isn't just a gift, Anna. It's his way of ensuring you have a stable foundation to build on. He believes in you." Anna sat in silence, the weight of Daniel's generosity settling heavily on her shoulders. She thought back to their meeting in the hospital, his frail figure and the quiet strength in his words. She had seen him as someone in need, but now it was clear that he had been offering her just as much as she had offered him. Can I think about it?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Of course," Richard replied. "There's no rush. Take your time." Daniel wanted this to be a blessing, not a burden. After hanging up, Anna stared at the phone in her hands, her mind racing. She felt a swirl of emotions, gratitude, disbelief, and a lingering sense of unworthiness. This was more than she had ever imagined, and it wasn't just about the house. It was about what it symbolized: trust, hope, and the power of kindness. Over the next few days, Anna wrestled with her thoughts. The idea of owning a home felt surreal. She had spent so much of her life scraping by, juggling jobs and worrying about rent. The thought of stability, real stability, was both exhilarating and terrifying. Could she accept such a profound gift? Her resolve grew as she visited the community center where she had started volunteering. Watching the people there, many of whom were struggling just as she had been, reminded her of the importance of generosity. Daniel's gift wasn't just for her. It was an opportunity to pay forward the kindness she had been shown. Finally, Anna called Richard. "I'll accept the house," she said, her voice steady but emotional. "But I want you to let Daniel know that I'll use it to honor his trust. I'll do everything I can to help others the way he's helped me." Richard's response was warm. That's exactly what Daniel hoped to hear. When Anna first visited the house, she was overcome with emotion. It was small but cozy, with a charming garden in the front and a sturdy fence surrounding it. Inside, it was clear that the house had been well loved. The wooden floors creaked softly under her steps, and the sunlight streaming through the windows gave it a warmth that felt inviting. As she walked through the rooms, she found a letter on the kitchen counter, written in Daniel's familiar handwriting. "Dear Anna, this house has been my sanctuary for many years. I can't live here anymore, but I wanted it to go to someone who would appreciate it. You've shown me that kindness still exists, and I want you to have a place where you can feel safe and build the life you deserve. Remember, it's not just a house, it's a reminder that you're not alone. With gratitude, Daniel." Tears filled Anna's eyes as she read the letter. She folded it carefully and placed it in her bag, knowing it would be something she cherished forever. Over time, Anna transformed the house into more than just a home. She used part of Daniel's original gift to create a community garden in the backyard, inviting neighbors and friends to grow vegetables and flowers. The garden became a gathering place, filled with laughter, shared meals, and stories. It was her way of ensuring that Daniel's legacy lived on, not just in her life, but in the lives of those around her. At the diner, Anna became known for her warmth and compassion. Regulars noticed the change in her demeanor. She seemed lighter, more confident. She often shared the story of Daniel with those who needed encouragement, reminding them that even the smallest acts of kindness could lead to something extraordinary. Daniel, though his health continued to decline, remained a quiet presence in Anna's life. They exchanged letters often, and Anna visited him regularly at the hospital. Each visit felt like a reminder of how far she had come, thanks to his belief in her. One year after receiving the house, Anna stood in her garden during a community gathering. Children ran around playing, neighbors chatted over plates of food, and the air buzzed with warmth and camaraderie. She looked around, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. As the sun set, Anna found a quiet moment to sit and reflect. She thought of Daniel, of the day she had stopped to offer him a ride, and how that simple act had set everything in motion. It wasn't about the money or the house. It was about the connections they had forged, the trust they had shared, and the kindness that had transformed both their lives. For the first time in years, Anna felt at peace. She knew she couldn't repay Daniel for everything he had done, but she could honor his gift by continuing to spread kindness, one small act at a time. And in her heart, she knew that was exactly what he would have wanted. But Daniel doesn't see it that way. He wants you to have something more, something that will give you the opportunity to truly build your future. He believes in you. For a long moment, Anna didn't speak. She thought of everything she had gone through, the sleepless nights, the endless worry about money, the days when she had wondered if she would ever escape the weight of her struggles. But now, Daniel's gift, his faith in her, was a chance to turn everything around. "I'll accept it," Anna said finally, her voice full of quiet resolve. "I'll make sure it's worth it." And she did. The small house Daniel had left her was far more than just a piece of property. It was a symbol of change. Over the next few months, Anna transformed it into a warm, welcoming home. She planted flowers in the garden, painted the walls, and filled the rooms with memories she was just beginning to create. She continued to volunteer at the community center, her life slowly growing into something she hadn't imagined possible. The money Daniel had given her had helped her, yes, but the deeper gift was his belief in her. One evening, as she sat on the front porch of her new home, Anna thought back to that day in the hospital room. She had walked in unsure, skeptical, and uncertain of what to do with the unexpected kindness Daniel had shown her. Now, sitting in her own space, she realized that his act of giving had not only changed her life but had given her a sense of purpose she had never known before. She looked up at the stars above, a small smile crossing her face. It wasn't just about the house or the money. It was about the ripple effect of kindness. How one simple, selfless act could turn into something that changed the course of someone's life. And she knew, without a doubt, that she would continue to pass it forward. Love this story? Tap that like button and subscribe to Mystic Tales for more. Let us know how this story made you feel with a single word in the comments.